Hello everybody, my name is Théato and welcome to the Psychic Matters podcast, episode number 45. Have you subscribed to this podcast yet? If not, find the subscribe button on your favourite podcast platform and click on it because you do not want to miss any of my upcoming episodes. I've got some fantastic guests lined up. They're coming on to talk to you about incredible things such as spirit art, past life regression, telepathy, astral travel, you name it. I'm covering it. And in fact, if there is a topic that you would really like me to cover, do drop me an email, ann@anteato.com, and let me know. That will come straight into my phone. And I'd love to hear from you. But first of all, this week you have me. Yes, this week I'm here to talk to you about honouring your sacred space. But just before we get into that, tell me, what do you think about the quality of sound on this episode? This is the first time I have used my new Shure SM7B microphone with Rode Arm Cloud Lifter Focusrite, and it is just so brilliant. A, to have equipment that doesn't collapse and fall into my mug of coffee, and secondly, it's just so wonderful to have a top of the range microphone. It's just a pure delight, and I will shortly be recording some new meditations which will be for sale on my website, so watch this space. I'll make an announcement here when they're ready. And we have got my wonderful patrons to thank for this new equipment. You guys absolutely rock. You've supported the podcast so beautifully, and everyone is benefiting from your kindness. So I know all my listeners will want to join me in saying a huge thank you to all the patrons of the Psychic Matters podcast. If you are interested in becoming a patron, please visit patreon.com/psychic matters to find out all the benefits, of which there are many, and it is well worth exploring. So, back to this week's episode. What is sacred space? Well, it can be an entire building that is constructed for religious purposes, things like temples or churches, or it can be a natural place in the world, a river, land, or a mountain. It could be your body, your inner temple. It could be your entire house, or a room in your house, or a small tiny corner of your house where you have set up an altar. And importantly, if you want to set up a sacred space, it's something that you alone decree is sacred. Simply by setting your intention, you bring it into being. I have a sacred space at my partner Lee's house. He lives in a beautiful 17th century cottage in the county of Suffolk in England. So when I go down to see him, I have a sanctuary into which I can escape, and I call it my healing space. It's a place I can retreat from the world, and it's peaceful, it's calm, and it now has the most beautiful energy within the room. Now, before he moved in, there were other tenants living there, and the room I now call my healing space was once used as an office for a guy who was an accountant. The energy within the room was not always beautiful. Not that there was anything wrong with it per se, or anything wrong with the accountant who was working there before us, but it's an end room. The energy flows in there, it gets stuck and it's stagnant, and it felt energetically heavy. And I also understand that before the accountant moved in and used that space as an office, it was also used as a garage. So it's always been a bit of a dumping ground. So when Lee said to me that I could use it for my healing purposes, I mean, I was just thrilled. I got a space. So how did I change up the energy in that space? Well, the first thing that I did was obviously clean it from top to bottom. I cleaned the windows inside, outside, got rid of every cobweb, hoovered the carpet. I threw open the windows, I threw open the door, and then I felt all the walls with the palm of my hand. I literally felt from the floor to the ceiling, all the way down and all the way back up again, feeling every part of the wall to see where was a hot spot, where was a cold spot, where did the energy feel heavy and stuck, what made my hand tingle, where did I feel places were cold maybe, and I put on loud music and I clapped out the old energy from the space. How did I do that exactly? I started in a corner and I clapped loudly from the bottom. I had the windows open, don't forget, and the door open. The loud music was playing. And I clapped the energy from the bottom of the wall up to the top. And then I maybe moved along about 7 inches, clapped the energy from the bottom of the wall where the skirting board was all the way up to the top of the ceiling, and then started again at the bottom 7 inches along, clapped the energy. Basically, I was clapping all that old energy out the window, out the door, out into the world where this loud music was playing. And then I went around afterwards and I felt the walls again to see, are there still cold spots, hot spots, tingly spots? What's going on? How does the energy physically feel in the palms of my hands with my auric field? What does it feel like? Any places where I felt it was a little bit stuck or not quite in balance, I reclapped that energy again out of the window all the time with this loud music playing. And so once I decided that the walls felt balanced and everything felt calm, I turned the music off, gave the neighbours' ears a rest, and after I'd done that, it was time to paint. I chose a yellow paint, and with every stroke of the roller or the paintbrush, I painted a happy memory into the wall. Every single happy memory I could think of in my life, anything that brought me joy, that made me feel uplifted, I painted it into the wall along with the paint. And I think it's made a huge difference to the feel of the energy in the space. Literally painted happiness into the walls. And once I'd done that and the paint was dry and everything was tidied away and clean, it was then time to harmonise the space. So I have a very small brass ball with a bell inside it, and it's called a harmony ball. I set my intentions for the space. I wanted it to be a place of healing, a place where I could further develop my own mediumship and psychic skills. I wanted it to be a place where I would attract clients, where they would leave feeling uplifted. And I took all these intentions and I took my harmony ball in one hand and I rang that into the walls with my intentions for the space. I had also bought some fresh flowers and I took the heads off the fresh flowers, arranged them on a beautiful plate with the tea lights in between. I put one of those plates of flowers and candles on the floor by the entrance, one on top of my healing couch and one on my desk. I smudged the place with sage, and people can feel it when they walk into the room. They always say, "Oh my gosh, it feels amazing in here. It feels really good." And when I go into that space now, I will put an essential oil into a white china oil burner, fill the bowl at the top of the burner with water and place a few drops of essential oils on the water, and then place a lighted tea light below. So when I'm working in there on business things, I will burn geranium oil or lavender oil. And if I'm doing a reading, I'll either use geranium oil, or recently I've gotten into myrrh and frankincense, which I find really, really do enhance my readings because you can journey in your mind with those oils. But that's for another episode. Be especially careful with your dogs and all pets, because some essential oils are poisonous to dogs, birds and cats. They're absolutely highly toxic, even in an infuser or an oil burner. And I'm super careful with my little Yorkshire Terrier, Phelan. That's a Gaelic name and it means little wolf. And I always leave her in the kitchen if I'm going to be using any essential oils in the space. So I work quite hard in that healing space, so on the podcast and teaching classes on Zoom, etc. So Often it needs a little TLC, tender loving care, in terms of lifting the energy again. So I will open the windows, let the air flow, play loud music, clap out the old energy, tidy up, keep it fresh, rebalance the energy with my little harmony ball, and reset the intentions for the space. And you can do this with yourself as well. We work hard, we get weighed down by the weight of the world, by our own personal challenges and difficulties, by our worries and our woes. And it's important to cleanse yourself down too. So how do you do that? You can cleanse your auric field using smudge sticks, Palo Santo, crystals. You could start with a shower. It's always a good start, isn't it? Have a wash. But start with a shower, not necessarily a bath. With a bath, you can lie with your stale energy in the water like a stale energy soup, and that's not really what you want. You want to have a shower. Let that water flow all over you, washing away your cares and your troubles. Let the water begin to shift all the stale energy you carry within. Water is an incredibly powerful healing element that nourishes our bodies from the inside to the outside, and it brings an energy of cleansing, of purification and release. I mean, I'm not slating a bath. I do love a bath. It's one of my favourite things to do. If I want to release my sore muscles, I'll take a Himalayan salt bath. But if I want to release negative feelings, I will shower after the bath. Just a quick whip over with a shower attachment while setting the intention to release and let go. And then put on fresh clothes. Clean clothes go a long way to making us feel better. It doesn't matter how old the clothes are, as long as they're washed and clean. And another really invigorating thing you can do is wild swimming. I've really taken to wild swimming in the past 2 years. Me and my girlfriends swim as often as we can in the beautiful waters of the River Stour, which is a local river here, along with many local people. And we also swim in the ocean as and when we can. And being really amongst nature is incredibly healing. And of course, it will fill you with those feel-good endorphins afterwards. So have a look and see if there are safe spaces to swim wild in your local area. So just going back to my little healing space in Suffolk, if you don't have a whole room you can dedicate to becoming your personal healing space, which I personally don't, I live in a tiny flat in London, which is where I spend most of my time, you can do what I do in London. I've got a tiny apartment. I've got 2 rooms downstairs and 2 rooms upstairs. That's it. That's my space. It's where I brought my 2 kids up. It's my home and I love it. But I do have to share the living room downstairs with my family. So when I had clients coming over, pre-COVID days, of course, people used to come to the house, I would start by cleaning the living room, and then I would light a candle, put on some beautiful harmonious music, burn some essential oil in my oil burner, plump up the cushions on the sofa. I got a little side table, laid out my tarot cards on a beautiful purple silk cloth, made sure there were tissues for my clients and a sealed bottle of fresh water for them. And then I would sit in the energy of my own soul for a few minutes before I began. So I don't have a space set aside for my readings in London. I don't have that indulgence. It's impossible to do that. And I know probably for most of us, it's impossible. But I do create, and you can as well, a space that is beautiful and harmonious before I do any reading. I do the same thing if I'm reading online these days. It is so important to set our intention for what we want to bring into the space, harmonize the energy of the space and ourselves as best we can before we work. I have also created a tiny altar in my bedroom in London, and it's basically a shelf between the side of the wardrobe and the window. It's tiny, maybe 30 inches by 30 inches, and it's a place that I use to remember my loved ones, count my blessings and manifest my dreams. And on there I have a tiny blue pinch pot that I made in a pottery class with my best friend Sue over 20 years ago. And inside that tiny pot are scraps of paper with intentions written on them, things that I want to bring into my life. I have photographs on there of my father and I, my favourite beloved Auntie Mon, who's no longer with us, photographs of my partner Lee scuba diving in Greece. I've got soapstone carved heads that I bought in Africa when I visited that country 30 years ago. It's a place I'd love to go back to. I've got a small plastic wind-up walking dinosaur that Lee bought me that reminds me never to let go of my childish, playful side. And beneath my very modern altar is a stable that my father lovingly built me out of faux wood and formica in the 1970s, which houses 2 horses that I used to play with as a child. A white one called Silver, the Lone Ranger's horse, which belonged to my brother, and a brown one, which is mine. And I'm still trying to manifest a real horse into my life. I recently put a small black horse on my windowsill in the healing space in Suffolk to manifest this now into being. And I've also on my altar in London got a small white and orange VW camper van, which was given to me by the director of Shirley Valentine, which was a one-woman play I was in, where I played 18 different characters to a standing ovation every night, may I say. And I loved the director of that play very, very dearly, and I loved playing that part of Shirley Valentine. And I keep that little VW camper van on my altar too, as a reminder of my acting background, and I use it as a manifester to bring me new acting roles in the future. And in the healing space in Suffolk, I have made this leaping hare, Hare. It's a sculpture, and when we made it in the art studio, the lady who ran the class suggested that we all put a message of intention into the heart of the hare, and she had tied a small glass vial into the centre of the framework of the hare for us to put our manifestations into. And hares are very spiritual creatures, and so I wrote on my piece of paper, "With my spiritual hare, I leap forward into an assured future of giving spiritual tuition in many countries across the world." So I know, and now you know, the message that is written in the heart of that hare sculpture, which is on the side in my healing space, and it's dried rock hard now. You can never get that message out. It's right in the heart of the hare. And so far, it's working. I've had bookings next year to teach in Edinburgh in Scotland and in Dublin in Ireland. And so here's hoping that opportunities will open up for me to teach in Europe and Australia too. Obviously, I'd love to go to America as well. So do email me if you want me to come over and teach. So on your altar, you don't have to just have candles and crystals. You can have very, very personal items as well to make it your own. But going back to creating sacred space in your home, you can do this for yourself, no matter how small your living space. You could use a window ledge, a small corner of your garden, a window box even outside, the top of a bookcase, a side table. You can use it to display things that are important to you or things that reflect your spiritual priorities. You could put it in a little but I did this once when I went to a hotel in Budapest. I took a little traveling spiritual altar with me in a tiny, tiny suitcase. So you can make it very portable and set it up wherever you go. Your sacred space, whatever it is, should make you feel nourished and inspired and re-energized every time you stand or sit there. You might want to put a tarot or an oracle card for the day on there, a written goal, some shells or stones from the outside. You might want to plant freshly planted seeds, put water on there, anything. You can put anything on your altar that you choose. Then to use your sacred space for a few minutes every morning or evening, sit with your eyes closed, enjoying the peace, giving thanks for all your blessings and gratitude for all the good things in your life. And you can ask for guidance or answers to problems that you're currently having. Use the space as a place to be reborn and renewed every day so that you can listen closely to what is in your heart. Have a think about your own sacred space. Is it your home? Is it in your car? Is it your inner temple? Have you space cleared your car? I know I haven't done mine. It's a mess, but I need to. It takes me all over the country, my little car, and it's a little sacred space of its own because I do a lot of thinking in that car. So to make it a little sacred space, what I need to do, I guess, is have it valeted first or clean it myself, clean out the glove box of endless CDs that keep falling onto the floor every time I open it, buy a fresh car blanket, maybe put a crystal, maybe an amethyst into the door compartment so that when I'm stuck in a traffic jam, I can take it out and hold it, because amethyst is a natural tranquilizer which soothes irritability. I could probably treat myself to some new car mats. I mean, I don't like my car to smell of garage bought air fresheners, but I do sometimes put a little essential oil on a piece of cotton wool and pop it under the sun visor or in the door of the car. And I can remember my mother, actually, when I had a motorbike, I used to be a motorcycle courier in London. I rode around for 3 years delivering parcels and packages across the capital. But when I went home on my bike, my mum would rush out with a bottle of holy water from Lourdes, which had also probably been blessed by the local priest. And she would shake it all over my bike. And I used to think she was absolutely bonkers. But what she was doing when I think about it now was setting the intention of safety for me and moving through ritual to manifest that into being. So now I don't think that she was bonkers at all, and I can completely understand why she did that. So what is your sacred space? Do you already have one, or can you create one somewhere? It might just be something as simple as keeping your work desk tidy and maybe using elements of feng shui and having a creative corner and a money corner on your desk. Feng shui is the art of arranging buildings, objects, space, and life to achieve harmony and balance. And feng shui works on the assumption that the world is driven by unseen forces. And the idea behind it is to unblock the way so that the forces can freely flow and create balance in your space or in your life. I'm not a feng shui practitioner, but I do use elements of feng shui in my home and in my life. So, for instance, I keep my oven spotlessly clean. It's something I'm really passionate about, and always got the I was going to say the Vim. That's very 70s, isn't it? Always got the kitchen spray out to clean the top of the stove off, because stoves have been regarded as money makers in homes for thousands of years. They're the source of food and warmth, and they're believed to attract abundance for the family.
Eye-Opening Moments podcasts are real-life stories of adversity, encounters, and perspectives. They are moments that can lift your spirits, give you some food for thought, or move you. For the introspective mind that likes to reflect, discover, and find solutions or meaning in a complex life, listen to Eye-Opening Moments podcasts.
I also have a 3-legged toad at the front door with a coin in his mouth. Not a real toad, obviously, but if I hoover and I accidentally knock him and the coin drops out, I have to leap into action and put it back in his mouth. And he's a symbol of long life and good luck. And 3-legged toads or 3-legged frogs are often used to bring in more financial abundance. I gave one to a friend once and she won £1 million. No joke. I think I gave her the wrong frog. My one's broken. I also try to keep things in pairs. 2 candles together, photographs of the family all in one place. I like to get air around the furniture. I like the air to circulate so there's no stagnant energetic places or corners. And I love fresh flowers in the house. I change up the pictures. I open the windows a lot. What about decluttering your email inbox or your WhatsApp groups that people have added you to but you no longer need? I mean, how many email subscriptions do you have coming in that you don't want to receive? Instead of swiping to delete them all every day, why don't you unsubscribe, clear out, declutter your emails, delete all the ones you don't need? In this modern age, we have to adapt as spiritual beings and apply these techniques to the digital age. Honor the sacred space of your smartphone or iPad. Get rid of all those old photos. Delete, rebalance, refresh the photos on your home screen and use something that lifts your spirits. I have renamed all my app groups on my telephone, so instead of banking, health, social media files, I now call them I am rich, I am fit, I am loved. We are adapting. Adapt with me. Space clearing is the art of clearing and revitalizing the stagnant energies in buildings and ourselves. All traditional cultures have some form of space clearing. You can clean your house, but you also have to clean the energy and maintain it. It's vital to a healthy home or office. Events that happen within buildings can leave an indelible mark on the atmosphere, and these can be read by our own intuitive knowing. We can feel when someone has had an argument in a space. We can feel when a place feels inviting or really uninviting. We can sense when something terrible has happened in a place. We all feel it, and we can read the energy of the space with our psychic awareness. This is called psychometry, and it needs a whole new podcast by itself, but you can psychometrize a building by allowing images to touch our mind in this way. We can read what types of people would have used and inhabited a building, what types of work they might have been doing, what sort of events might have happened there. You can read the energy of a building and pick up information psychically by looking at photographs which contain an atmospheric energy, or using your clairvoyance, which is clear vision, your clairsentience, your clear feeling, and your clairaudience, your clear hearing. Energy imprints influence everyone, not just the sensitive. We've all heard of places where history keeps repeating itself and bad things continue to reoccur time and time again. Wars, accidents, arguments, etc. When unaware people pick up low-level residual energy and take it on, they can unwittingly reenact the past script. Most used buildings contain a layer of residual energy, both positive and negative. Empaths pick up on these vibrations rather like the first impressions, and we notice them at first, but we don't always continue to notice them if we keep revisiting a place and going back time and time again. But a very old building with a lot of history, such as an old manor house, a castle, a stately home, if you go and visit it, you're a tourist, you pay your money, you go visit it, you may not pick up very much at all because you are one of thousands of people trooping about through that building, creating a new energetic imprint on that space. But if you were to visit on a day when there weren't many other people there and stand yourself in a corner of that building or a tucked away place where not many others have stood, no other energies have been able to imprint on the place where you stand, you could then read the energetic imprint of that place and space and pick up impressions and images from the past. So you're probably asking yourself, do I actually have this ability? Well, can you psychically sense the emotional states of someone else? Do you find owning used furniture uncomfortable, or does wearing someone else's jewellery, for instance, or old clothes make you feel weird? Do you have a strong dislike towards a specific item in your house and you don't know why? If you want to study psychometry, and I will create a podcast episode for you on this very topic, I mean, we've just touched on the surface of it today, but if you're interested in it, please do join me on Saturday, November 27th from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. UK time zone, where I will be teaching psychometry online for the College of Psychic Studies. So you can join in from wherever you are in the world, and it would be wonderful to see you in class. But Anne, how do you learn it online if we can't visit a place or hold any objects? I hear you ask. Well, it is possible to teach it online because photographs of objects, photographs of places and people contain an energetic atmosphere which we can tap into. So we will be working with photographs, and I will take you through a series of exercises to strengthen your psychic knowing and extend the many ways in which you might work. And we'll be looking in that workshop at the secrets of buildings, the mysteries contained within handwriting and objects, and we'll be psychometrizing photographs of people. And all of you are welcome. It's open to all levels of development. So that's the 27th of November, online with the College of Psychic Studies. If you want to sign up for that course, go to the College of Psychic Studies website and you can pick up the information there. It's also on my website, and also I'll put a link for it in the show notes of this episode. So just to finish up, we're talking about honouring your sacred space. Remember that sacred space is everywhere, both within and without. And when a house or a person is filled with love and happiness, it can really feel like the sun is shining. But when a home or a person has been layered with deep anguish, they can feel cold, or that place can feel cold and frightening and unwelcoming. And these energetic imprints can last for years after they formed, and they can greatly affect the ambience of a place or a person. Becoming aware of, creating and maintaining a sacred space in your heart and in your home can become a daily reminder of your connection to the divine. Let yourself and your home become a place that is full of love, full of peace, full of grace. To quote Tony Stockwell, we should all be our own walking sanctuary. How will you create yours? I hope you've enjoyed this podcast episode. Remember that all the resources, including a full transcript, are over on my website under podcasts. So do head over there. You can pick everything up on the show notes. And Théato.com, ANNTHEATO.com. Have a little explore while you're over there. Take a look at the upcoming courses, like I said, especially the one I'm teaching online, the psychometry with the College of Psychic Studies in London. It'd be great to see you in class. Thank you everyone for being fantastic listeners. I'm getting some great reviews in from listeners all over the world, and I cannot thank you enough for those. Please do keep them coming in. It is so wonderful of you to take the time to write an honest review, because it makes a huge difference to the podcast and the way it moves up the podcast charts. So if you've got any time right now, go to iTunes, go to Stitcher and write an honest review. For now, I'd like to wish you all a very successful couple of weeks. Until next time, my name is Anne Théato, and thank you for listening to Psychic Matters.